They told me we could go a little bit over our time so that we can try to make up for being late. Again, thank you for your patience. So by the way, I'm Derek. I'm Billy's appearance manager. I've been traveling the world with him for 28 years. Being famous just like you. Thank you for that. I'm quite privileged. He's an amazing human being. So before we get to your questions, I just wanted to talk a little bit about his autobiography. He's very proud of it. It was on the New York Times bestsellers list 2 weeks in a row. And the publisher lost half of our shipment, but we do have a few books that arrived last night at the hotel that we'll have at his booth today, so you guys can come over if you need a copy. But Billy, tell the crowd a little bit about your book and what you put into it.
Driving over, I was just really sort of reviewing a lot in my head about my father and my mother and sister and my Uncle Bill. I'm in my household when I was growing up, my father was regarded as a big Bill Williams. He was a Texan, a quiet Texan. He was from the old school. And I was Little Bill. And then there was my mother's brother Bill. He was a musician who was very much enamored with the world of opera. My mother studied opera back in those years. My Uncle Bill, he went off to Europe. He was what they at that time called an expatriate. He left the United States, and this is back in the 40s, right after the Second World War. And he went off to Italy and lived there and throughout Europe for 40 years. In Italy, he went to La Scala, which is sort of a free art entity. He spoke 6 languages. So the book really sort of revolved around a lot of the very interesting people that I grew up with since I was a child. Because I started show business myself when I was 6.5 years old in a Broadway musical written by, the younger people here would know, if you're anywhere close to my age, you'd know the musical, or you'd know the author of the musical, Krupa, who wrote with Bertolt Brecht. Three-penny opera. But that was my first big experience on the Broadway stage. As a matter of fact, I had a little, I still remember what I had to do on the stage. It was a period piece, this play. It revolved around the story of a very famous sculptor, an Italian sculptor, Benvenuto Cellini, and the character I played was a little page boy, and I remember coming out on the stage and singing, "If we're for the Duchess, for her grace the Duchess, if we're for the Duchess, for her legal Duchess," and then I'd come back out on the stage and message from the Duchess, message from the Duchess, from her. Grace the Duchess, message from the Duchess, from a little Duchess. But anyway, how I got that role actually was my mom. My mommy, she took me to an audition for the role, and they had me. I remember they had me walk across stage one time, then the second time, then I wanted to do it the third time, and they said, "No, that's fine." And because they wouldn't allow me to do it the third time, started crying. And I always say, I cry my way into show business. Anyway, the book, the book really is, I think it's really, well, it was on the New York Times best list, best sellers list. And, but it's a really engaging experience. I mean, I've had a lot of interesting things happen to me in my life, met a lot of very interesting people, and worked with a lot of very interesting and wonderful people. So it revolved around a lot of those wonderful experiences that I had growing up in New York City. And all about my life as a painter, you know, when I spent my whole life as painting, and I went to a school called Music Art High School with my sister and I went. I had my twin sister. We used to call her Lady. We went to Music and Art High School. She went on to NYU. I went on to a school. I got a scholarship to a school called the National Academy of Design for Fine Arts, where I spent two years on a scholarship painting. And I was nominated for a Guggenheim when I was about 18, 19 years old, and won a Rollback, which is comparable to a Guggenheim. But as a matter of fact, the Smithsonian owns one of my paintings. And Schoenberg in New York City owns one of my paintings. And there was a jazz museum that owns one of my paintings. So anyway, that's been a very much a part of my life. But my life basically has been a very creative life. I've never been a thug, never wanted to be a thug. I was always a very, fairly bashful kind of person. Usually pretty much very quiet. I don't really like talking about myself. I'd rather talk to people and ask people questions about themselves than me just talking about who I am, what I am, and where I've been. But I'm surprised now that I'm just talking to them as I am today, this morning.
That's good. They waited longer to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
So, just so you guys know, if you're unfamiliar with the awards that we spoke about in painting, they're basically the equivalent to the Oscar and Golden Globes. So it's a very big deal, those awards. And who out there has the book? Round of applause or hands, or you out there. Excellent. Good. So, Billy, we're going to jump into questions here. The way that this convention does it is they ask the fans to actually write them out, and we'll read them off. So the first question is from Paul. Paul, there could be more than one Paul out there, but when you hear the question, this is you. So, Billy, people, when they talk about the charm of Rainbow Colors in, what part of you do you see living inside the character, and where does that charm come from? Just dealing with who you are, right?
Well, listen, I'm 88 years old now. So, I grew up in those years. I'm from the old school. Men were, in those days, they were very, you remember the old movies with Clark Gable and Errol Flynn and all those people. I mean, I'm so part of that kind of, and I always liked sophistication, always liked the whole kind of romantic persona. go to sleep. So it's always been very much a part of my life. Duke Ellington is one of my favorites. In fact, I always wanted to play Duke Ellington. Never really got a chance to do it. Met him, and one of the most interesting and most charming people I've ever met in my life. And as a matter of fact, he used to compete with his father to see who was the most charming when he was growing up. But that kind of feeling has always been very much, and always sort of intrigued with that, I suppose. My father, who was a wonderful, very quiet man, had that kind of coolness.
So you were born with it, and you are the Clark Gable of our day. That's what I'm doing. All right, the next question is from Alex. If a movie...
I'm just basically a silly little boy.
Okay, good. If a movie was made about your life, who would you want to portray you in the movie?
I don't know.
They haven't been born yet, right?
No, my grandson, maybe. My grandson, he's a beauty, that one. You could see him. I mean, it's really extraordinary. As a matter of fact, he's 17 years old now. And he's just started college. But he was, he didn't verbally. He was always had people from modeling agencies chasing him. And as a matter of fact, he went off to Düsseldorf, Germany to model, and went off to Paris and all over the summer. In New York, we did some modeling in New York. But he's really gorgeous. And very lovely human being. If I had anybody to play with me, well, not that I'm gorgeous. But if I had anybody to play with me, I guess it would be my grandson.
Well, he's got the perfect connection, so no need to audition. All right, the next question is from Ross. What would your last meal be, and with whom?
Say that. What would my last meal be, and with whom?
When you're ready to check out, what's the last thing you want to eat, and who do you want to be sitting at the table next to you?
Oh, my God.
Sit down. There you go. You could have your last meal with her. No? I tried, sorry.
Boy, at this stage in my life, if I was younger,
Well, I should just get hit on that one up there easily. That is fantastic. All right, the next question. This is interesting. It's actually for David Duchovny, but it actually goes along kind of with the Star Wars universe. It's from Dana. Dana wants to know if you've ever seen aliens in real life.
I haven't seen aliens in real life.
Yeah.
Every day.
Oh my, okay, I'm trying to get here. Let's see. Okay, Billy, if you were called by the studio today and were asked to come back as Two-Face, would you do it for the Batman universe? Yeah. Oh, that was fun.
I always wanted to do Two-Face, but that's one of the regrets. Well, when I was asked to play Harvey Dent, I think originally the idea was to have it do Two-Face, but I think it was Sony Corporation.
Yeah, they bought it.
They bought out the franchise and decided to take a different direction with it. So, but that was something that I was at that point looking forward to doing. But unfortunately, it didn't happen.
We have time to be told for one last question, and this one, there's no name on it, but it's not a Star Wars question, so that's why I wanted to take it. It's about Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars. Billy, do you remember the dance from it? And can you share an experience of shooting the film, Bingo Long?
No, it's a walk. It was not a dance.
Well, okay.
It was a walk. Yeah, it was, I don't know.
Was it
I
fun
can't
shooting?
tell you right now.
When you guys were throwing the ball back and forth between the cars, you did that for real, right? No special effects.
No, that was the real deal. Those guys were really pretty extraordinary. They were from the Negro League back in those days. Those were some of the real guys that played with those ball clubs back in those years. No, we didn't use any special effects. No, that was the real deal.
For those of you who don't know what
It
that
was fascinating.
Watch the movie because it's
Yeah, it was really fascinating. I mean, it was a real education for me as working with those guys.
all right. Well, I'm sorry, guys. This is all the time we have. Again, sorry for being late. We appreciate your patience. Give it up for Billy and Ryan.
I really appreciate it. Yes, sir. Very well.